This week, in our nation's capital, clerics and lobbyists connected to the Russian Orthodox Church met with officials on Capitol Hill. They also met with members of the White House Faith Office. Stephen Moore is with the Ukraine Freedom Project. He joins me now from Kyiv for more on this. So, Steve, why are members of the Russian Orthodox Church attempting to campaign with members of Congress and the White House?
Well, the important thing to recognize about the Russian Orthodox Church is it's not a church like you and I would normally think of one. You know, the Patriarch Kirill has declared a holy war on Ukraine in the West. And, you know, George, I don't know where you go to church, but my pastor has never declared a holy war on anyone. And so what you've got is this is a group of Americans who are closely associated with the Russian government, because Kirill is essentially an instrument of the Kremlin, and they're coming to Capitol Hill to talk about how to forward the agenda of the Russians on Capitol Hill. It's sort of an information operation.
And when you look at their stance on the full-scale invasion, not just in 2022, but going all the way back to 2014, I have actually seen pictures of clerics of the Russian Orthodox Church blessing missiles, praying for weapons and bullets as they target Ukrainian civilians. I'm assuming that they are very much in support of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, right?
It's really interesting because Kirill has said to Russians, if you die fighting in Ukraine, all your sins will be washed away. And he stopped short of offering 72 virgins, but it's the same sort of, building martyrs for a military cause that's done by Hamas, Hezbollah, the Iranians, and all the other Islamic extremist groups.
Now, the Russian Orthodox Church has a branch, so to speak, in Ukraine. It's called the Ukrainian Orthodox Church Moscow Patriarch. What is their relationship? Is it a strong relationship?
Well, they've had historical ties to Russia for centuries. And so in May of 2022, in response from a lot of negative pressure from Ukrainians, they said, we disagree with Kirill on the war. They made a Facebook post about this. So that's the extent to which they've separated themselves from Moscow. And, there's 100 clergy or so, 100 or so clergy that are on trial right now or in the justice system for helping the Russians. And none of them are Protestants, none of them are Catholic, none of them are even like the Orthodox Church of Ukraine. There's several Orthodox churches here. It's this one tiny group that is about 4% of the population and reports to Moscow. So not all of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church is our collaborators, but all the collaborators who are clergy are from this church. And like I said, there's, at one point there would have been about 70% of Ukraine's population would have called themselves parishioners of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Now it's down to about 4%. And the Orthodox Church of Ukraine has filled into that gap. And so by far, the far majority of Orthodox in Ukraine belong to the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which has a patriarch here in Kyiv.
Yeah, and there is some accusations that the Russian arm of the Russian Orthodox Church arm of their congregation in Ukraine is in essence an intelligence arm of the Kremlin. What do you make of these accusations?
Well, they have about 8,000 parishes in Ukraine, and not a lot of people are going to them. Again, they used to have a huge following, and now they're down to about 4% of Ukraine, which leaves a lot of clergy and a lot of buildings all around Ukraine that can be used for a spy network. And as recently as July of this year, there was the daughter of one of the priests in the Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Pokrovsk, which is a big hot place right now, was arrested for using the church tower with a camera. She put a camera on the church tower to monitor Ukrainian troop movements. So this is still going on. This is a real problem.
There is a narrative here in the United States that the Zelensky government is outright persecuting Christians today in Ukraine. I just got back from Ukraine. I saw no evidence of this. In fact, the opposite is happening. The churches are thriving, doubling, sometimes tripling. There is so much religious freedom. What do you make of this narrative, especially amongst some in the American community that believe Zelensky is persecuting Ukrainian Christians?
Well, it's nonsense. And I've been here since day 5 of the war. And as you know, our movie of Faith Under Siege investigates Christian persecution in Ukraine. And I'll tell you, it's all done by the Russians. Even there's been priests of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Moscow Patriarch, who have been killed by the Russians. And there's dozens of them. And the Ukrainians have not killed anybody, any priests, any pastors. And so it's just nonsense. And the truth of the matter is that 85% of Ukrainians view this church that reports to Moscow as a national security threat. So 85% of Ukrainians view this church as someone that is causing problems to their personal security.
Yeah, I was talking to President Zelensky's religious affairs expert just the other day, and he said they have legitimate reasons to go after this Russian Orthodox branch in Ukraine because they believe that that the group poses an existential threat, a security threat to Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is absolutely true. That's my experience. And I've been all over Ukraine. I've been to the front like 50 times. And, and if you look at it, there's at least seven European countries who have taken action against the branch of the Russian Orthodox Church inside their countries. So 7 European countries, Sweden, Estonia, Denmark, have taken action against this church because they see it as a spy network and a security threat to them.
Stephen, real quickly, you've been there since day 5, since the war started. The church is on the move, right? And the evangelical church, is growing in Ukraine in the midst of war, right?
Man, my own faith has grown. It is just remarkable, that the level of faith these folks have here in Ukraine. These people are Michael Jordan of faith because they're taking the worst that Putin has to deliver. And Putin is targeting pastors, priests, Christians for their faith. They're taking that and they're overcoming through faith. The level of courage and faith and love of freedom of the Christians here is just something I'm really, really humbled to be a part of.
Yeah, fantastic. Stephen Moore with the Ukrainian Freedom Project. As always, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast and stay safe, my friend.